Tapestry and socially conscious storytelling on Facebook. It'll appear in our feed. And please, if you haven't done so already, take a moment to silence your phones. And at the end of Rest Advice, all of our cast will be going outside to reach you. There will be a 10-minute intermission between Act 1 and Act 2. So thank you for coming out to support 2022 Broadway World Tampa Runner-Up Best New Play or Musical Rest Advice. We hope by the end of this production, you'll agree with late theater critic Joseph Cara that Rest Advice is the Vagina Monologues for boobs. With that, let's begin.
It's a boob, a breast, a place where men can rest, when you pledge allegiance to the flag. All the different lights and scooters, or settling with girls, technically memory plans, where you can wear them high and low, set them free, swing to and fro.
Do you know that our vaginas did not have voices until 1994? Eve Ensler had a controversial play, The Vagina Monologues, and suddenly we were talking about rape, pubic hair, sex, genital mutilation, out in the open, not in hushed tones. Yet today, we are still so afraid of a nip slip on TV, of a woman breastfeeding in public, of a random female boob showing up on social media. Why don't man boobs get banned? What is it about women's breasts, particularly nipples, that social media finds so offending? The print and broadcast media has always sexualized the innocent mound of flesh. We all have them. Merriam-Webster clinically defines breasts as the pair of mammary glands extending outward from the front of the chest in adult and human females, and other mammals. And more appropriately, the seat of emotion and thought. People have all kinds of thoughts about breasts. Too big, should I get a reduction? Too small, augmentation. Too wide, too droopy, too uneven, should I get a breast lift? Will they feed my child? Filled with glandular tissue, fatty lymph nodes, will they kill me? 9 units to curtain. Thank you.
Boots, knockers, hands, dirty pillows, mosquito bites, Hershey kisses, the Wonder Twins,
Jugs, fun bags, swinging bellies, Twin Peaks,
melons, biscuits, coconuts, milk monsters, chesticles, rum catchers, the tack flaps, balloons, sweater puppies, hooters, cat flaps, udders, bazookas, rat, balloongas, boobies, meet the girls.
Dear titties. Ever wonder why men have such a rapt fascination with buxom women's boobs? Well, I'll tell you, it's the suppression of the natural suckling instinct that we had as little babies. Sensing that we're missing something, being weaned way too early instead of a more convivial age like 70. You know, it's that weaning, that infancy, that has contributed to us being unsatiable for the magic and the mystery of boobs. Whether a mere protuberance or something more Dolly Parton-esque in stature, or really any size in between, that part of female anatomy continues to reinforce this masculine obsession. Whether lovingly called tits, jugs, boobs, hooters, fun bags, they've given rise to many things, especially in hormone-driven teenage boys, who are very happy to have large, shaggy looks and the ability to swallow. So, boobs have also played an important role in the economic stability of our country, while bras have played an equally important role in the stability of the boobs themselves. Entire industries owe their very existence and financial well-being to continued support of these lovely feminine boobs. Playtex, Victoria's Secret, Playboy, and similar companies would have never enjoyed their current level of success without the support of boobs. Unemployment for tireless workers in topless bars. The jogging sweatshirt and sweater industry would run rampant. Now, usually associated with excess weight from uncontrolled gluttony. What, on the other hand, can be said about boobs? These fleshy, hanging lumps that no man wants can be the result of overindulgence in food, underindulgence in exercise, or overindulgence in steroids. They can be the object of scorn and derision at your local beach. Small children may walk up and say, "Look, Mommy, a man with titties." There's no telling the psychological damage that might cause to a impressionable child. My advice to boob challenged men: hit the gym and stay off the beach. That or radical plastic surgery. Real boobs, on the other hand, should be celebrated at the Super Bowl with floats of naked lady boobs jiggling in the wind or bobbing onto the field at halftime. It might even be something that help football boost the sagging ratings. Now there, I certainly said a mouthful both literally and figuratively. Boobs forever. Enough said.
Moves. Manly fun bags. Whatever you call them, dudes get boobs. Man boobs. They're not as fun as what the ladies got going on. At least I don't think so. I see they no. But they happen. Everyone's story is different. For some, jumping jacks turns into smacking their face with their middies. That's man titties. You get the idea. For others, they like to fake as if they're heck solitary crews. Guys are fooling themselves. My story, though, it's a little different. You see, when I decided to get a tattoo on my ribs, I thought I would be fit and skinny forever. My dumbass forgot that food, beer, and being lazy was just so much fun. When I was 17, I was obsessed with the symbol of the phoenix. You know, rising from the ashes, overcoming a broken heart, life, soul, just the thought of moving beyond the tough stuff. I decided to get a tattoo of the iconic avian on my ribs with its head positioned underneath my sexy, forever lasting pecs. It was the most painful goddamn thing you'll ever get, or do. The tattoo artist actually taped together 3 tongue depressors, and I just looked at him when he told me to bite down on them. I was just like, are you kidding? You think I'm fucking kidding? He wasn't. By the end, I'd actually bitten down through the top and bottom, giant popsicle stick, and left an impression in the middle, fit to be a mold for the dentist. I love my tattoo. On the ribs where it's tough, no ass kicking will ever compare to this, according to the artist. By the time I recovered from the seemingly torturous process, I couldn't wait for any opportunity to remove my shirt and show off my work and my body. Better off, I just couldn't look or wait for any opportunity just to take off my shirt. I felt like the cock of the walk man. Except for that one time when some old lady thought it was a horrible wound and encouraged me to go to the emergency room. The problem for me, though, is over the years, my chest has, how do I put this, grown out and grown down. Every time I ran, the moves started to bounce. Hell, just a quick trot got me going. But the worst for me, though, was how it affected my tattoo. See, I named my tattoo Frankie, and Frankie held his head high and proud for many years. Now, mounds of flabby flesh forces its weight upon him. I actually have to lift up my arm just to show the poor guy's little face. He's smushed. He's sad. Fucking man boobs. Moves.
Let me tell you, the hardest part about losing weight is It's not going to the gym to work out. It's getting dressed to go to the gym to work out. All of a sudden, workout clothes are in fashion. I don't think half of the people with workout clothes have done anything like working out. Did you work out today? So here I am, trying to be part of the world. So, in the privacy of my own home, trying to get into a spandex sports bra. Getting your head and arms in, it's a breeze. The hard part comes when it's rolled up at the back of the neck. If you forgot to put your hair in a bun, then it is now rolled up in the back of the T-strap. As you try to unroll it, you wiggle and try to unroll. Well, you try, but it seems to be stuck up at your sternum. So you force the roll down, and hopefully, you get one boob in. Hopefully, the big one. You're home free at this point. And you figure, oh, I'm good. I worked up a sweat in the bathroom. I'll just treat myself to an ice cream. It's too hot anyway to work out. I mean, for goodness sake, I live in South Florida. It's 80 degrees at 7:30 in the morning.
In case we weren't already sensitive and self-conscious enough in middle and high school, every woman has a memory where she can pinpoint that a boy or even a girl made her feel ashamed of her breasts. We remember the boys calling down the hallway, "Hey, nice tits." So we tried to hide them behind our books and ignore the jealous looks from our less-endowed classmates. We remember the girls in their B, C, and D cups tittering at our training bra, "Hey, pancake," as if flat as up. Nevertheless, we eventually learned to accept ourselves in our full or nearly empty cups. 45 minutes to curtain, everyone. Thank you for your time. So, I was invited to this birthday party in middle school. I don't even remember whose birthday it was, so I gather I wasn't close to the birthday girl at the time. But being as small as I was, looking so young, and even looking back, being as immature as I must have been at the time, I do recall being excited about this party. I don't know who was there or whether or not I knew them now, but what I know is that levitation was huge at summer parties, and I had never done it. How cool! It was mysterious and slightly terrifying in the way that Ouija boards could be. And I was very excited to think that we were actually going to levitate at this party. Everyone, and I, of course, was talking about it. I don't remember anyone else's turn, but I do clearly recall my own. So the lights were dimmed, it was dark, and I was laying on the floor. It was quiet, and everybody had the edges of their fingertips tucked underneath the edges of my body. And the speaker, the leader of the levitation, she was going on about ritualistic chants and phrases, and then she said, "Are we all ready?" Everybody nodded their heads, and I was instructed to close my eyes and breathe deeply. As the speaker recited, "Light as a feather, flat as a board. Light as a feather, flat as a board. Light as a feather, flat as a board." I did not feel myself levitating as I kept giggling. And that giggling became louder, and I could tell they were taking a cycle. But then it turned into laughter. And I was confused. I was laughing along, thinking, I don't know, that we were laughing about the same thing. We were uncomfortable, levitation, quiet, seriousness. But then it occurred to me. They were not laughing with me. They were laughing because out of all of us, I was the only one truly flat as a board. I mean, my chest was flat as a board. I mean, there was no indication that this 4'2" 6th grader would ever have the chance of needing a training bra, much less a bra. I had no idea when, if that would happen. So there I was,
what I can recall is that that party I did not levitate. And it certainly was not due to the fact that my chest was too heavy.
Okay, on that note, dear God, please, please don't let me ever grow boobs. Please, God, I'll do anything. I'll be a better person. I'll be the best Christian and believe in only you and spread the good news of Jesus if you just let them stay flat forever and ever. That was me, age 11, in the shower, staring at the 2 mosquito bites dotting my chest, imploring God to let them stay just like that so that one day I could be an Olympic gymnast. For that to happen, I needed to look like my heroes, right? Small, mighty, and flat as a board. Well, fast forward to me at age 14, staring at the same 2 mosquito bites. I must increase my bust. Dear God, please let me grow boobs. Please, God, I'll do anything for great boobies. I'll worship you forever if you just give me some big titties and some nice cleavage, and I promise I'll never ask you for another thing. Well, by then I was an official member of the Itty Bitty Titty Committee, and I wanted out. I was a boy-crazy teen, and it had become crystal clear that boys dig boobs. It also seemed like everywhere I looked were beautiful, giggly, busty girls with their ample chests pouring out of their skin-tight, low-cut sweaters. My life at that time was like an endless scene from American Pie. But I never got to be the hot one. I was always the ugly dork, never feminine or sexy because of my chest size. Well, a few years later, after taking a women's studies course my freshman year at college, I was still just as obsessed with breast size and infatuated with the idea of having breast augmentation. Only now I felt shame about it. I was so conflicted. How can I be strong and confident and a positive example to other women if I need a boob job? I mean, I can't really be a feminist and go through with this, right? Oh, how can I encourage other women to love and accept their bodies if I go and alter mine for purely cosmetic reasons and, let's be honest, to be more desirable to men? Totally hypocritical. So I figured the only way out of this predicament would be to get breast cancer, have augmentation and reconstructive surgery as my treatment. I am mortified to admit it, and I wish I were kidding. Like, it was worth it to me to get breast cancer, as long as I didn't die from it. To have the guilt-free boob job. It's sick and twisted, but that's where my mind went. Well, I didn't go through with the surgery. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against any woman who does. At one time, I was this close to doing it. I would have done it in a heartbeat. But I know now that it wouldn't have made me any happier, or my life any better. But at the time, I was so sure it would. Looking back now at that insecure girl who thought she needed big boobs in order to be girly and attractive, I know I've come a long way. But I also know I have a long way to go as far as body acceptance goes. I definitely wouldn't say I'm in love with my body, but I am grateful for it and all it's been through. It has been good to me, even if I haven't always been good to it. And for that, I am very blessed. Small boobs and all.
I've never really been voluptuous. No, for me, I'm more like little candy meringues than, melons. So sorry. It's hard for us small-breasted women. I found that when I went on my honeymoon, I could honestly have used 2 Band-Aids, and I would have been completely fine. It would have made for some really, really weird sunburn and a lot of uncomfortable stares when I was on the cruise ship, but I mean, it would have been okay. As I go through, this is a good place to keep stuff, by the way. I always thought about regular clothes as, I could camouflage, but it wasn't perfect. The one thing I really, really hated, though, was that swimwear. Since I couldn't do the Band-Aids, I thought about the padded bra, right, that one over there. I thought about the water bra, cute little one over here, not as successful. And I finally just gave up. I decided, you know what? I'm tall, I've got long legs, my lips are kind of voluptuous. Maybe the one little thing that could be voluptuous, you know what, that's okay. And of course then I met the one man that actually was going to see me for me and actually appreciate my brain. And that actually made me feel beautiful, for once. And then you know what, I really didn't care, at all. And then of course I had my baby girl, and then finally got the one body part that made my t-shirt stick out. But of course, still not exactly as beautiful as some of my other girls. And you know, the funny, but I guess the not so funny thing about having a small chest is that you still get scares. Mine were so uncomfortably sore one day that I had to go and get painfully squished on a Friday afternoon, and having to wait until Monday to get those results, and worrying about the worst possible thing that could happen, only to find out that salt and pepper breast means that you have to go and get a mammogram every 6 months. But of course, now a routine mammogram is a diagnostic, and that's not going to get covered under insurance. No, why would you think that, sweetie? So every 6 months, you gotta pay for a mammogram. And you know, I never wanted to go underneath the knife, so I'm never going to have voluptuous breasts. It's a good showcase of them tonight. But you know what? That's no longer really a bad thing. Because you know what? I don't get backaches like my more endowed friends. I also can find button-ups that actually pin up in the front. And I'm even seeing more celebrities, like the ones you see here, showing off in backless dresses and showing off that itty-bitty titty committee. So you know what? I might not be voluptuous, but at least I'm enjoying Victoria's Secret.
Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord an ample chest to make. Below my face, this I need, or I refuse to start 9th grade. Amen. When I started high school, I barely fit into an A cup. I used to wish on every star in the sky that I would be blessed with an ample chest, that I would fill out a shirt without 2 spare pieces of fabric hanging over where my breasts were meant to be. I wanted boobs so badly that I started referring to them as my whole chest. I poked enough, they'd suddenly just, appear. Sadly, as I continued high school, they did not appear. I realized how flat I was in comparison to my girlfriends. I don't really remember other people making me feel less than for having less than. But somehow I couldn't escape the pressure I feel from seeing other teenage girls in magazines, TV shows, movies. I sure as hell didn't look like most of them. I looked much younger, especially physically, like I was frozen in time, while everyone else was shooting off into the sky. Every time I complained, which was a lot, my grandmother would remind me, mine never came in until my 30s. Her chest was huge, so I'd have to have, some kind of hope with this hope chest. As time went on, I tried to remain confident, but I was still a bit envious. My friends would say things like, I can't run, it hurts. I wanted to know that feeling. I also wanted to get out of gym class. my friends would have complaints like, I can't sleep on my stomach anymore, or he wouldn't stop staring at my boobs. They made me guess, you guessed it, jealous. I figured I should make fun of myself rather than feeling sorry. I had no control over it. Nothing. One time I did feel completely mortified about my chest. The only time I didn't have a witty comeback or clown reaction, one of the most intimate moments. Nothing crazy, it's just I had a little bit of a sweaty problem.
You just wrote it twice.
One armpit to be exact. It was so bad I had to resort to using a sanitary pad under my shirt. There was a shadow. Sorry. One day, hanging out with my boyfriend, I got a little nervous. I didn't want there to be any distraction while we got hot and heavy. So I had a paper towel up under my shirt to make sure nothing was happening. We got into his shirt, went out my back. All of a sudden he froze. His eyebrows just peaked. Completely wide mouth and shocked. And he pulled slowly down my back where I could feel every fiber of the paper towel in his hand.
Oh.
And held it up in front of me. I panicked and I said, oh my God, you pulled part of my shirt lining out. I ran away. Bye! On the drive home, all I could think is, great, now he thinks I stuffed my bra. Wonderful. I'm no longer going to be the funny, flat-chested girl. I'm going to be the girl that stuffs her bra. Fuck! Absolutely mortified. I was so sick to my stomach with stress that I decided to tell him the truth. He was fine with it. I still felt ashamed. By the time I started college, I actively was trying to come to terms with my little knockers. I learned how to accentuate other attributes. Sometimes people would suggest I get a boob job, that this, surgery would somehow complete my body. I would be sexier, more womanly. As tempting as it was, I knew I had to love me for me. Even though I wanted boobs so badly, I just never saw it an option for me. Even when that time I lived in Jersey, that guy told me, he offered me that boob job. And I thought about it only because the outlook suggested the condo. No rent, right?
Oh, that Tony.
That's I decided just be happy with what I had. I didn't need to wear a bra when I went out. It was fun. It wasn't uncomfortable. And then something happened. They just naturally appeared. First I noticed a little gap in between the button and I was running down the stairs and I had to run and yell to my roommate, hey, jiggle! They were growing and they continued to grow. It wasn't really attributed to weight gain either. I started out as a 32A and then suddenly a 32B and then afterwards 36C. I felt like after all those years praying and wishing, my dreams had suddenly finally came true. My hope dress, now a reality. Even girls in bathrooms would rather me, asking me, what is real or beautiful? It's pretty awesome, let me tell you. I no longer had to paint on cleavage when I had to do local theatrical productions. I had my very own pair, all real, all me. It's a beautiful thing to experience full size, to completely understand what it's like to have and to have not. I like to think that even if I never had that late growth spurt, I'd be just as confident as I am today. I should have never relied on something so insignificant to make me feel more or less than a woman. It never provided me more or less opportunities. It didn't make me any more or less attractive. It didn't make me any more or less capable. But if I'm being totally honest, I love my boobs. I really love them. Okay? So much so that my only fear now is losing them. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my boobs to keep. No shrinkage, no inflation. I finally love me. A to the fucking men.
I'm not just transgender. I'm gender fluid, which means I don't identify with a fixed gender, and I've known this all my life. I am, however, assigned female at birth, which means boobs. I hate them. I've always hated them. Wearing a bra feels restrictive and wrong, and I've found that wearing a binder makes my already asthmatic lungs weak. Transmasculine top surgery, getting rid of the old hair, always seemed like a permanent solution to a temporary problem. I mean, some days I love wearing low-cut dresses, but even in feminine clothing, it feels weird to have these lumps. Most days I smile ear to ear when I hear someone call after me, "Oh, excuse me, sir." I never actually thought about going through with it until my job started offering health care, medical benefits that offered gender-affirming health care. That's something special because top surgery, male or female, is considered cosmetic and medically unnecessary. It can cost upwards of $10,000 in the state of Florida. One time I was at Disney World and I saw this couple sitting on a bench. The larger of the two men was cisgender. His body matched the gender he was assigned at birth. He was softly touching his partner's cheek in the sunlight, and the smaller of the two men was transgender. Now, he passed for a cisgendered man to the average passerby, but I noticed his binder. I watched them walk away, wearing their Mickey ears and smiling hand in hand. It made my heart fill with joy. For years, I had been dating this guy who, when I came out to him as gender fluid, told me that I should just pick one. And I found this ironic since he was pansexual, attracted to all genders. Every time I brought up top surgery, looking for some support, he would just laugh it off, saying he could never picture me with a masculine chest. This guy ended up hurting me in a lot more ways than just one, especially when he left me for a cisgender woman with smaller breasts than me. And then I remembered that couple that I saw. And I know that somewhere out there, there's got to be somebody that loves me with or without my boobs. There has to be, because I know I do.
I always had at least two brothers. My parents were foster parents, so the actual number could potentially change from day to day. And for some reason, they were always my best friends. I had sisters too, but I never really vibed with them. I was always running, jumping, and climbing, all that tomboy stuff. So when my boobs started growing in too big, too fast, I figured it was because I was too busy running around with the boys and didn't properly train them. I don't even know when it happened, really. Just one weekend, I was scraping my knee, falling off a bike. The next, my mom had me in a store looking for training bras. I didn't even know what I was training them to do. Turns out, it was a wasted effort because they were all too small. I ended up getting a regular bra. None of that double A cup nonsense over here. In my 4th grade class photo, I'm wearing a baby blue long sleeve sweater and I had boobs as big as the teacher. The only girl with any real boobs to speak of, something like a 34B. And I'm smiling because it's a photo and my parents were paying for it. And that's just what you do, but God, the year was awful. Just awful. Not a day went by that I didn't get my bra strap snapped in the back or have just some boy staring. It didn't help that I was one of the tallest kids in the class. In the 5th grade, Stephen Pearson thought it would be funny if he grabbed my boob, now a 36C, while we were waiting in line for the school bus. I slapped his face so hard he flew back into a brick wall. I got suspended from school for a week, but when I randomly ran into him 5 years ago, I could tell who he was by the scar. Now, by the 9th grade, I called a truce with my boobs. They agreed to be as low-key as possible, and I agreed to ignore them. And except for the one time I thought a sports bra would hold those 38C behemoths so I could join the track team, the truce worked out well. Totally my fault. I take full blame for that violation. And then I decided to go shopping with my girlfriends one day. My girlfriends were the girls, hairstyles, nail polish, boy crazy, the whole 9 yards. My girlfriends, well, we decided to go to Victoria's Secret. I don't even know why they were my friends. But we go to the mall, and I can only assume that I gave into peer pressure because I remember this very pushy saleswoman debating about what size bra I wear. She measured and decided I was a 34B. Having been burdened with my bazoombas for many years by this point, I assured her I was not. After many rounds of insisting her that I try this one, and me showing her the over-boob spillage or the not quite there connection of the straps, she hands me a 38C, and I politely take it without an "I told you so." And so I made for my very first solo bra purchase. I brought the bra home and proudly showed my mother, whom I thought, being a large-breasted woman herself, was a firm supporter of the standard, was a firm supporter of me having found a pretty bra, because she was a firm supporter of the standard, boring, but guaranteed to fit, slightly pointy, completely not attractive cross-your-heart bras that came in a box at JCPenney. She took one look at the tag and said, "What's this?" To which I responded that it was the Miracle Bra. I then launched into the spiel the sales lady gave me, to which she responded, "Miracle?" She interrupted, clearly having heard nothing I said. "The Lord has given you plenty enough miracles all on his own, so you can march right back on down to that store and return this mess." So I did. Because you can't argue with mothers. Anyone who suffers through that much pain to have you is obviously working on a master revenge plan. You don't push your luck there, right, moms? Yeah.
I'm supposed to talk about boobs. What can I say that hasn't already been said? I don't know. They're great. They're okay. They're fine. Really depends on what you got. I remember this one girl from middle school, Melanie. I'm not going to give you her last name. It was free. I'm not sure what ethnicity it was. It always made me think of French fries, so I'm just going to go French. I don't know. What's to say? Probably her ancestors, but I digress. She had the biggest boobs I've ever seen. We were all in 6th grade. I remember thinking, dang, I wish I had them too. Especially when all the boys were, looking at it. catcalling her and saying, "Hey, Melanie, nice tits. Watch out." I remember they were so big she had to wear not one, but 2 sports bras. She'd be like, those boys wouldn't stop teasing her, try to touch them. I told her, could be worse. She could have small tits like me. No one would pay attention to her. How dare she resent one of God's gifts? God's greatest gifts, she would say. You have no idea how much I hate this gift. And then one day Melanie just left our school. Her family moved away to Colorado, and our science teacher, Mr. Carter, he was fired. That was close to 20 years ago, but I haven't hung out with Melanie in 20 years. I am friends with her on Facebook though. Her name is Bean now, which I still think of food, but obviously this time a little bit more yeah. I saw on Facebook that she had a baby recently. And she's so happy. She's got a husband and 2 cute pugs and a great little family. There's one photo where she's breastfeeding her newborn. And I just think, wow, at one point she hated those things. And now it's providing life. Just magical. What a gift.
Design, whatever it is, we have it, and it can betray us. Our minds can betray us. Our waistlines can betray us. Our thighs can betray us. But never have I felt more betrayed than when after 8 months of a smooth, painless pregnancy, my blood pressure decided to see how high it could go. Pre-eclampsia. What should have been the most hippie water birth in history turned into a scary ordeal where my body kept betraying me. A swollen cervix, a ruptured placenta, a blood pressure that was finding its way to giving me a stroke. Very scary. So, a C-section saved us. My husband seeing parts of me he never wanted to see. My baby's body betrayed him, and into the NICU he went. A platelet transfusion, a sucrose strip. I was so angry. I was angry that I couldn't control what was going on in this body of mine. But I will say, sometimes when betrayed, things can be redeemed. My body decided it was going to make as much milk as humanly possible in my rather puny mammary glands. I was the very definition of a wet nurse. I was bringing in 10, 12, 14 2-ounce bottles of milk into the NICU every day. My body decided it was going to keep my baby alive and fatten him up to levels unfathomable. But a baby in the NICU is bottle fed. And I will tell you, and any mother here will tell you, pumping is difficult and exhausting. So then the whole issue of learning to nurse was thwarted upon us. That's when you just pray that Mother Nature will pull through. So this is my favorite part of the story. In my very hippie nursing class, they showed us this video about something called the breast crawl. I don't know if any of y'all have heard of it. A brand newborn baby, just minutes old, is placed on their mother's abdomen. And they can smell their mother's milk. The sight of darkened nipples helps those tiny little human eyes to guide them to the breast, and they will literally just stretch and crawl this way up to the mother's breast and naturally latch on and nurse. It's really cool. So, after weeks of her being in the NICU, I was just tired, exhausted, and just honestly just desperate to bond with my new baby. So I tried it. I placed him right on my abdomen. And wouldn't you know, my little guy inched his way, and he latched on, and he started to feed himself like the resourceful little human he was. I'm sorry, I still get emotional, but I cried. My body had betrayed me, but only to the point where I would treasure this little life. And he was nourishing himself. And would you know, my body was doing the nourishing.
What the actual hell, Mother Nature? For real. I was in my early 30s when I had my first child. Like all new mothers, I was terrified in the days leading up to my baby's birth. But maybe not for the same reason as others. See, I had it in my mind that while attempting to breastfeed, I'd fall asleep, and one of these boulders would suffocate that beautiful little baby. I was terrified of my own breasts. They were potential murderers. And because Mother Nature has a cruel sense of humor, she made sure to make as many changes to them in as short a period of time as possible. Do you all know that your nipples change colors when you're pregnant? What? Yeah, no, I did not. I did not. No. So you just wake up one day and you look in the mirror, got different nipples. And you think, after 20 years with the same pals, whose boobs are these? And then you start to swell because in addition to everything else a woman has to be in this world, dairy cow is almost a job requirement. Exactly. However, the first time they betrayed me, my kid was hours old. They wouldn't produce. These 36F buckets were empty. They were filled with the tears of my child and myself. The nurse, super kind, kept looking at me, "Doing great, Mama," as I sobbed, knowing that my child was starving. And these ridiculous udders were utterly worthless. My well-meaning mother decided by day 2 that when I fell asleep in the hospital bed, she was going to feed my child a bottle of formula. My baby was happy and fed. I was devastated, destroyed, empty in every sense of the word. The words, "rest is best," had an endless rotation in my brain, consistently destroying me over and over again. But I'm no quitter. I pumped every 4 hours. I ate all the lactation cookies and foods. I avoided all the bad foods. I saw all the lactation consultants. One time, I got a whole 4 ounces. I was so excited, I sent my husband a picture. The caption read, "Successful cow." But 4 ounces has gone in 10 seconds, and my child is starving again. 3 weeks after my baby was born, I resigned myself to the fact that my kid was going to be formula fed. They gave their last hurrah 3 weeks after my baby was born by the lettuce display. No, literally, by the lettuce display. I was at Target, and I was in the produce section, and some kid starts to cry. And suddenly I realized I had fluid running down my body. And honest to God, I looked up at the ceiling for a split second and I thought, is that rain? And they never gave another damn drop. Breast friends, my ass.
As a young wife and a mommy of 2, I find that sometimes I have no idea what to do in any given situation. So, when we lost my sister-in-law at the age of 29 to breast cancer, it was so tragic. I mean, she was ridiculously ill. And later
years, I found a lump in my breast as well. And of course, I went directly to the doctor, who then told me to wait 30 days. It might go away. Why? And isn't it, like, gonna come back, you know, maybe somewhere else? Probably not. It'll be fine. See you in 30 days. We'll make the appointment up front and carry it. So, of course, I waited and waited and waited, and 30 days later, is it? Of course. Still there. Not painful, but there. In my mind and in my breast. And so I go and do a biopsy, which, oh, does that hurt? So I wait longer and longer for these test results, and finally another appointment. This time I decide to take my husband, not knowing what we're going to hear. As they told me what I might have to go through, I simply said, hey, if you're going to take one of the breasts, you might as well take both. I'd rather be flat-chested than lopsided for the rest of my life. So, later, my husband left the room, and they were examining me, and the doctor looked over at me and said, so sweet, discuss this drastic decision with your husband first? What? It's my body. Why would I? You can ask him. I'm a little bit impulsive. Now thinking about it a little bit, I mean, he probably was terrified. He had lost his sister not that long before.
Mastectomy. What an ugly word for the glory that once sat on my chest. Mastectomy. No. No, that can't be. Please, doctor. I'm only 35. I haven't even had my kids. Will all this chemo even let me have kids? Isn't there any way to save my breasts? I want to breastfeed. He shook his head, no, to every one of my pleas. Mastectomy. There is enough side, you know. Down the road, we can do reconstructive surgery, and you can go up to a C cup. That looks good on your frame. Get out! I scream. I scream for all the ugly steps I rolled down, for all the ugly touching my brother less viciously treated himself to, for the ugly back of my father's head, for the ugly ignorance of my siblings turning away from my screams. Breast cancer, mastectomy, C-cup, book half of life. But here's what they missed. My strength is stronger than any of them. Father, mother, brother, doctor, painkillers, needles, medical marijuana, chemo, mastectomy. So okay, I said, after the surgery was over, sweat was on my joints, on my skin, as I grasped the handrails on my bed, while my husband brought the mirror over so that I could peer at the new landscape on my chest. At first, no words. A lateral scar where once there had been a nipple corrugated flesh for once sat a mound of sensitivity on behalf of lust for my husband. He stared at me as though this was his penance for cheating on me. As if this was his mea culpa in life. A wife with no breasts. He saddened like a 3-year-old left alone at nursery school. You know, when you're the sick one, you get used to cheering everybody up around you who can't deal with your misery. So as always, I cheered him up. Baby, I'm getting new ones. C-cup. His eyes brightened up. He looked all excited. And he said, sweet! You know what that motherfucker said best? Can we make it a D cup? No words.
There will be a 10-minute intermission. We will be back at 6:41.
Nice to meet you too.
Not just that.
Oh, you got a better one than this one.
That was. And down some street like that, I was out. And I woke up and
So guys, it's been a long time movement. I like them small, firm, and standing tall. Large, luscious, and full, with a little drop. Bring them all on. There's one thing though, and I know a lot of lesbians and a lot of straight men may disagree with me on this one, but I'm just not a fan of overdone bolt-ons. You know, those impossibly shaped Mongo orbs that, without exception, look like they can hold up a shelf full of trophies or a couple beer steins. Why, you ask? But they look great. Well, as a connoisseur of boobage, feeling a comfort factor in it, big time. Now, one thing that a lot of us man-childs won't admit, right, is that we have cried and sniffled into a fine pair of breasts more than once, in addition to playing the requisite game of motorboat on occasion. There's just something about when a woman pulls you into her chest that just soothes the soul. Bolt-ons, it's like laying your head on an overinflated air mattress. Now, one thing I've learned in a lifetime pursuit of fine tatas is that a woman's unique scent is often strongest right between her breasts. Guys, this is why women put their perfume there. But I prefer a woman's natural scent. You see, the pheromones rage strongly there, and breathing the men gives you a chill of appreciation for the beauty of all women. Now, while a lot of you listening may be offended by my remarks, get out. Just get going. While many of you may be offended by my remarks, just know that they are honest. They come from the true affinity, that is the majesty of woman.
Breasts come in all shapes and sizes. One may be bigger, areola darker or fuller, one may be perkier or rounder or stand up higher. Full cleavage or breasts that never meet. Just like snowflakes, literally, no two are alike. 30 minutes to curtain, everyone.
Thank you, Kirsten.
How does one go about having breasts that have never met?
To put it simply, you see, they don't touch.
Cleavage, I don't know her. My boobs are like long-lost sisters who don't even know of each other's existence. Will they meet serendipitously like in the Parent Trap? Forget about it. Pretend that each one is a house. They are indeed neighbors, far apart neighbors. So far apart that you don't even realize that they are indeed your neighbor, and they even have a different zip code. Was there some restraining order between them that I just never knew about? Like, whenever I hit puberty, was it just... Now, if I do want cleavage, I have to push them together like this and, go about my merry way, but what's the fun in that? I have to push them together myself, and I'm left there with a cross-eyed torso with eyes further apart than ET's. Thankfully, I'm not at that stage yet where they fall into my armpit, I guess. And there are bright sides to this. Yeah. Many women in my family have this kind of chesticle set up about us, so we can bitch about them to each other because we are not alone in this. The great divide. I can even lay down and sit a bowl of chips in between there, for instance. No big booby pillows to get in the way of that crunch. Anyway, my girls may have some distance between them, but my low and lovely ladies are mine, and pretty darn proud of them.
I don't recall ever wearing a training bra. I remember the boys on the playground running up behind me and snapping the back of my bra in 4th grade. I remember that my bras never, ever fit right. My mom was constantly buying me a new one. They were either spilling out the top or coming out of the bottom or oozing out of the sides. I figured a bra was just some strange protective shield. The first letter I remember having was a B at 11 years old. I stayed into the B's until around college when I moved into the C rank. I guess they stayed relatively small, from my view above them, because I was a very active person. I was one of those tomboys who ran around, hung like monkeys on bars, climbed the fort, which was telephone poles cut in half and stuck into the ground with an opening for a door. My boobs just got in the way. I remember thinking, when I'm older, I'm going to get them cut off. Well, that didn't happen. When I became a full-fledged adult, I moved to California. Now, I grew up watching MTV like everyone else, so I knew that everyone in California was skinny. I don't know how I began to swell up. Oh, yes, I do. Office potlucks, food trucks, tacos, Knott's Berry Farm biscuits with boysenberry jam, fried chicken, egg rolls, pancit, sticky rice. Oh my goodness, California has food from everywhere. Where do these people come from with all this delicious food? Well, being who I am, I suffer from the black girl disease. Tits, ass, and thighs. I had 2 out of the 3. And I was up to a D cup and still spilling out of the top, the sides, and the bottom. I always had that third boob syndrome.
At age 11, I was proud to wear a bra to securely. At age 19, I was happy and proud to reveal them. Yes, girl. The first man to ever see them, stare at them, touch them, kiss them, and pronounce that they belonged on the pages of Playboy magazine. At 22, I was both happy and proud to offer them a nourishment for my first baby daughter, who eagerly accepted. At 23, I was horrified and scared when I found that the first of many love stories. The first male surgeon sent into them was cold and detached. Delivered the long-awaited biopsy results. Benign. Diagnosis: fibrocystic. Watch it carefully because dense breasts could easily have cancer. I found a female surgeon to regularly follow up with the patient. She was warm and friendly and had a lovely bedside manner. And she would send a single red rose every time she would cut into me. Throughout the years, several more biopsies resulted in relief and complacency. After a particularly threatening one was biopsy, I wrote her a poem to thank her for taking care of the boo-boo off my boob. As I watched the bruising colors pink and purple and yellow fade before I visited her office to receive the results. Expecting another benign announcement, I was shocked and dazed to hear the kind woman's surgeon's words. Sorry, not this time. It was relief. And then, but I want you to know, just because you have cancer, you're not going to die. I was scared and angry and confused. I kept asking, why cancer? Why me? I was grateful to find a good oncologist and a reputable plastic surgeon. I had a modified renal mastectomy and immediate breast reconstruction with a tram flap. My abdominal muscles were tunneled up to form my new right breast, which later was radiated after standard chemotherapy with no big guns. And then, probably overkill, stem cell rescue therapy to prevent reoccurrence in the other. After gazing down at the scars and lines and New mound of flesh with nipple constructed from hip skin. With tattooed areola, I sadly compared my chest to a patchwork quilt. But hey, I thought, quilts are beautiful forms of feminine art. Later, with newly found pride and confidence in my body, I posed semi-nude for a fundraiser for a women's camp. It was August, the birth month of my mother, who had been diagnosed with breast cancer after me. I screamed in emotional agony after my baby girl told me she needed bilateral mastectomy. She had cancer in both breasts. I was later tested for a genetic mutation called BRCA1. Positive results led me to be proactive about prevention of ovarian and breast cancer in my other breast. I had a hysterectomy and another mastectomy, this time with a silicone implant, to form a new left breast. Angry, disgusted, and uncaring about how I looked. It didn't bother me not having a left hip. I struggled mentally and emotionally to reconcile with chronic scar tissue discomfort. Fear the implant may be leaking and occasional stabbing pain. I struggled to accept the image in the mirror of the lopsided looking and occasional mismatched breasts. During these past years, my breasts went from being sensual symbols of youthful adult femininity, objects of desire for boyfriends, to items no Gasparilla pirate would ever throw beef at. You can laugh. Yet, it comforts me to recall that I once compared my chest to a patchwork quilt. And I began to realize quilts are artistic, creative products that bring warmth, and they are unique forms of feminine expressions.
Like you, I started getting breasts at age 11. I remember that year in my Christmas stocking, I got a training bra, and I got a blue poodle skirt that my mom made. I was obsessed with movie Grease. There's this picture that I distinctly remember of me on the fireplace in my poodle skirt and my training bra, with my back to the camera, obviously. So proud. And then so mortified a little while later when my friend Carrie, a boy, came over to play. The box was still on the fireplace. He was going to see the box. He was going to know I was a girl. I was a girl who wore a bra and not that tomboy that he was used to playing with all the time. Ugh, why did stuff have to change? Then almost as suddenly as my little breasts began to bud, they stopped growing altogether, leaving me at about an A- cup size, and really waiting for that training bra to train him to do something. Anything. Nothing. Yet. In high school, the padded bra. Best friend. Loved it. Got myself invited to a couple of formals. Love that. My mom made all of my dresses, and the ones she didn't make my own. So every time I had a dress fitting, pull up my little dress, you know, they got to take it in and let it out. My grandmother, God bless her, would bemoan the fate of my boy-like bosom. Oh, it is such a shame your chest won't grow. You could be so much prettier. And then she would hand me her rubber and wire pointed contraption from the 1950s so that my dress would look so pitiful. Yeah. So college comes along. And I take my little self off to the health center where I see the nurse practitioner, for an annual. She asks me if I am doing breast self-exams. No, I tell her. I don't know how. I don't know what they're supposed to feel like. No problem, I'll teach you, she says. So she opens my paper gown and immediately goes, oh, they're so tiny. Well, at least you never have to worry about breast cancer. Sure kind of ruins the ending, doesn't it? Fighting to hold on to just a tiny shred of my dignity after that. Go back to my dorm, where my sorority sisters and I decide my parents are going out of town. We'll go crash at their house for the weekend. What could possibly go wrong? So we drank. We ate. We drank. We laughed. We drank. We danced. We drank some more, and we decided to go skinny dipping. My top literally barely had time to hit the ground before my roommate went, damn, Rag, those are the tiniest tits I've ever seen! She went to boarding school. I was pretty sure she knew what she was talking about. Damn it! So you get it, right? Small boob shame was the name of my game. At least I didn't have to worry about breast cancer, right? Well, midway through my 30s, twice divorced, I started to gain a little weight. Had one Velez and lo and behold, my boobs grew with me. I was shocked. My grandmother, thrilled. Of course, by then she had moved on to, oh, you used to be so attractive. I don't know what happened. Oh, wait, I do. You got that. And I hate your hair. You believe I was her favorite? True story. And then on my 46th birthday, single again, I woke up really, really early one Sunday morning, and I'd been out the whole day before working in the yard. I was really sore, so I felt like, dang, oh. You feel around looking for just that spot that's going to release everything. And I felt something in my left breast. Something that wasn't supposed to be there. So panic set in. Instantly, I tried to breathe as I felt around, asking all the questions. Okay, how big is it? Does it move? Does it hurt? Does it have another one on the other side? They're twin? Well, it's about the size and shape of a piece of popped popcorn. It doesn't move. It doesn't really have any feeling at all. It doesn't have to turn on the other side. I don't know how, but I knew. I knew right then. It's cancer. Fucking breast cancer. So 6 days later, miraculously only 6. A mammogram, an ultrasound, and a oh so fun needle biopsy later. I had the official diagnosis. Invasive ductal carcinoma. It's one of the most common forms of breast cancer. And I sat there in that doctor's office, really wishing I knew that nurse's name, because my God, was I going to tell her a thing or two about who gets breast cancer. So this being 2016, I did what one does. I announced everything on social media. My plans for a complete double mastectomy with reconstruction. Getting them out. Not going to worry about it. And it really surprised me when so many people popped up to wish me luck. Friends jumped on with their support, offering to do anything. They set up a Facebook group just to monitor my progress. One friend set up a whole like a meal schedule thing so that my family would have meals every single night. And another really amazing friend brought me a pair of pink boxing gloves. Excuse me. So I decided I was going to embrace the hashtag gloves up. And I started a blog. At the end of that month, under general anesthesia, I had both of my breasts removed and replaced with expanders, which are really like half of a beach ball that's not inflated. They stick one in each side, and then over time, they add liquid to them, a little saline, a little bit at a time, so that your muscles and your tissue stretches, so that then you'll be able to accept the actual implant. What nobody ever tells you, just move up a little bit, the fans up here. What nobody ever tells you about a mastectomy is how much it hurts. Oh my God, does it hurt? You wake up and you feel like your chest is on fire, like literally on fire. The whole thing. And then, if you put any weight on your hand or your arm, or you twist or move wrong, it feels like lightning, fire, lightning shooting through your whole chest, and it feels like you're ripping every single thing that they've just done to put you back together. Like, oh God, you're gonna have to do it all over again, and the fear that you're gonna have to go back in and have the same thing done to fix what you just broke by moving, it's almost worse than the pain. Almost. They don't also tell you is that pain, that lightning, that fire that you feel is supposed to be there. It means it's working. It's the muscles learning how to work together again. That fire means it's working. That fire means you are winning. God, somebody ought to tell you that. Anyway, here we are, 7 years later, next Sunday, and I am what's known in the cancerverse as NED, N-E-D. That stands for No Evidence of Disease. Yeah. 7 years next Sunday. So no evidence of disease. I'm planning to stay that way, obviously. But you never know. If the big C comes calling again, I'm going to strap on my gloves. I'm going to step back in the ring, and I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight for me. I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to fight for everyone. Everyone who can't fight anymore. We have lost so many people since I started this. Way too many. And the reality is we're going to lose a lot more. way too many more. But I'm going to be here. I'm going to be standing here fighting for every single one of us with my last breath, reminding everyone, please, 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 check your breasts. No matter what size they are, no matter what shape they are, no matter what sex you are, check your breasts. I promise you, you will know if you feel something that shouldn't be there. And it may just save your life. Love's up. Now, I remember the sales lady at the department store measuring me and telling me that I was a 34D. And although I'd lived with these babies for like 35 years, I was like, I am? Here's the thing, when I imagine a 34D, I imagine here, not here. And I called my husband and told him that the lady at the store told me I was a 34D. And he responds, what? Not what? Yeah, they are, but more like, yeah, I know, I'm still mad, honestly. He responds, what? Like, that is wishful thinking. So it wasn't just me. See, as long as I can remember, I always had little ones, and it was fine, it didn't really bother me, but like most things about our appearances, society seemed bothering. And it didn't help that the women in my family were voluptuous, and here I am, meh, and meh. So I was not supposed to be built that way, but there it was. Now, I felt lucky though. You know, I didn't have to worry about tit slings, over-the-shoulder boulder holders, double-barreled slingshots. The boys in middle school never tried to snap the back of my bra because I didn't need one. Didn't have to worry about them flopping down my waist when I got old. And I was the first one to make the joke that if I forgot my bra, a couple of Band-Aids would do. So, there. So I considered myself super lucky. It wasn't until I had kids that I started to envy not having them. See, I expected that when I started nursing, your boobs would just get bigger. Mine stayed about the same. And when my poor baby would cry and cry and cry, I started to think it was because I was broken. But it turned out she had really bad reflux. Both my kids were colic and did not sleep through the night for a year. I'm going to say that again because I don't know that you heard me. A year. I have not caught up on that lost sleep yet. The only person that could get my kids to fall asleep was my mom. She had what I call these magic boobs. These two warm, fluffy pillows, and my babies would just instantly go to sleep. And they would lay on me and look for that same magical quality and find only bone. Then, when I hit about my 40s, I realized how quickly they could turn on you. My sister got diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. What did that mean? And once cancer gets so close to home, you start realizing how many people fight it, and sometimes more than once. Never. And for the next couple of months, I found myself so paranoid and worried. Any type of pain, I would start feeling around immediately, worried that it had come to get me too. I had my first mammogram because of my sister's diagnosis, and that's the first time I felt like they were really beads. The swelling was so painful, I was like, yep, there it is. I watched my sister lose her hair, her energy, her breasts. I helped my neighbor Graves talk about what kind of implant she wanted, whether she wanted nipples or tattoos. The experience was so surreal, but you know what? She made it through with only the strength that a badass like her could have. And now, after all that, as I look down and see babies, I don't see something that I want to be bigger or different.
They've been with me all my life, but they don't define me. These babies have nursed 2 children, and every time I have to go in for an mammogram, I stress and I worry. But I also remind myself that so many people have had such difficult journeys, and I put aside my nurse, I think of them, and I go in and I get it done. 34D, nothing more and nothing less. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue to feel blessed.
Okay, I admit it. I am and always have been obsessed, enamored, and mesmerized by breasts. Now, this may sound normal to some, but I believe my preoccupation can be distracting at times. Now, not to be too Freudian about this, but I blame my mother. You see, I'm a child of the baby boom generation whose mother, like many Baptist women of that era, did not believe in breastfeeding. I can't say for certain, but I've been led to believe that that deprivation caused my fascination with this woman's body part. As a teenager, I did whatever I could to get the latest copy of Playboy. And while I was having my visual cortex and other areas stimulated, I was being duped into believing that every adolescent girl would eventually achieve D-cup status. As I grew into an adult, I often wondered if this Playboy mentality made women feel inferior if they weren't stacked. That was my favorite word, even as a boy. Stacked. But could this mentality be responsible for so many women seeking breast augmentation? I have to admit, I feel guilty for being a willing bystander to that attitude. Shame on you, Hugh Hefner. College was very frustrating for me. You see, it was the early 70s, and no bra liquid was involved. I'll be honest, I admired the freedom every college co-ed was exhibiting, but as a shy young man, it was strictly look but don't touch. Suffice to say, I did a lot of looking. After, I'm kidding, I'm sorry. Anyway, when I was a middle-aged college professor, my students, female students, often wore blouses that looked quite revealing. In fact, they often showed lots of cleavage. I mean, have you ever tried to deliver a lecture on the importance of memory without saying memory instead of memory? As I moved into adult status, though, I've learned to embrace the fact that women are women regardless of their breast size, and that breasts are just one point, one part of their total existence. Plus, I always place personality above any body part. And even though my sense of wonderment about breasts has not diminished, keeps me feeling young. I'm aware that this fixation makes me seem a little shallow, but I truly hope it never goes away.
As a young girl, I was obsessed with perfect breasts. I was shapely. I mean, A circle's a shape, right? Well, I finally got my dangerous curves under control by losing an enormous amount of weight. But unfortunately, I lost my breast buddies in the process. I was a Hooters girl with 2 deflated Hooters on my chest. But one of my friends at Hooters said she knew a doctor that was cheap. Side note, never bargain when it comes to creating man babies. But hey, what did I know? I was a newly thin, not so bright, pancake food, naive young girl. So I went to a couple of doctors, and they said I needed a full breast lift, which meant 2 anchor-shaped scars going completely around the nipple, down the breast, and across from side to side. Well, being a foolish 24-year-old, I decided I didn't need that, and those doctors didn't know what they were talking about. And I was going to go with the cheap guy because for the same price, I could not only get a new pair of boobs, but I could get a new pair and some cute clothes. Priorities, right? So the doctor filled my pancakes with large implants, skyrocketing my size C's to whopping full double D's. And he put the implant on top of us, which meant that when I hugged people, all I could feel was the implant, which was weird, right? Well, all was well for about a year until I became pregnant with my daughter. Nobody told me that when you have a baby, your breasts swell up with milk, turning your once decent breasts into huge, lumpy milk mountains. I mean, it's the only way to describe the giant orbs that were downwardly dangling from my chest. To put it in perspective, my bra size became a double K. That's right, folks. Around the alphabet twice, double K. My breasts actually fell off my chest wall. I have pictures of my daughter breastfeeding what looked like skin-colored beach balls. I knew I was in trouble. And you may think this is the end of my story, but oh no, the breast is yet to come. So I finally got the nerve to go to a doctor and have my grand Tetons looked at. So I went to doctor number 2 and decided to have the breast reduction surgery that I should have had in the first place. So 6 months after the birth of my daughter, I scheduled my breast reduction surgery. Well, they cut off my nipples and placed them higher on my chest. And the doctor spent 8 hours working on my breasts. Until my skin started to turn blue, and they had to give up. They had to stitch me up. Well, I was so proud of my new set that I went running over to my very best friend, who was a hairdresser at the time, and we ran excitedly into the bathroom to view the 2 new treasures on my chest. But my friend, who was always brutally honest, looked at me and said, "Honey, they're square." Square? I said, "There's no way." But the more I looked at them, the more I realized that it was indeed correct, and they were indeed square, and boxy, and not breast-shaped at all. Plus, I had huge scars. It was then that I realized my Frankentits were born. They were decent. They were not Playboy Centerfold gorgeous like I want, but they were decent. So I kept them for 10 years. They were still awkward and not at all what I wanted. So I went back to doctor number 2 in my quest for the best breasts money could buy. And finally, yes, a beautiful job. Oh, they were Playboy Centerfold gorgeous, and they were teardrop shaped, and the new nipples were even smaller. It was perfection. And apparently my husband agreed because a year later I got pregnant again. Well, having a second child turned my beautiful teardrop-shaped ma'am-tastic beauties into pretty much what I had to start with. The irony was, nobody knew I had fake breasts. They sagged just like regular breasts. You know, can you believe I spent all that money, pain, and trouble to end up with almost exactly what I started with? Big, beautiful, saggy breasts. But hey, I At least everybody thinks they're real. You want to see?
Breasts.
Bulbous and bouncy.
Jiggly, fluffy.
Shapely.
Clumpy.
Magnificent.
Average. Firm.
Soft. Full.
Spectacular.
Voluptuous.
Divine.
Absolutely perfect.
Awe-inspiring.
Small and perky. Ample.
Satisfactory.
Swollen. Nourishing.
Tender. Cancerous. Radiant.
Reconstructed, reclaimed.
Breasts.
Curtain.